Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin. In the hush of night, when the world dims and eyelids fall like curtains, your brain does not go silent. It hums in whispers, soft and slow, like wind through tall grass. While the body rests in bed, the cortex, your brain's thinking skin, begins a quiet conversation with itself. These whispers are not like the bold chatter of daytime thoughts. They are gentle pulses, small waves of electricity curling through the dark folds of your mind. It may feel like nothing is happening, but deep inside, cells are speaking in soft sparks, telling old stories and tidying up memory drawers left open by the day. Imagine your cortex as a great library, vast and spiraled like a seashell. All day long, visitors rush in and out, piling books, dropping ideas, leaving behind scattered notes. But at night, when sleep hushes the halls, a different rhythm begins. The librarians, the glial cells, glide between shelves. They sweep away noise, they fix broken pages, they label thoughts with invisible tags. Your brain, once busy with outside noise, now turns inward listening to itself. In this inward turn, a strange thing happens. Neurons, those spindly cells that carry thought, do not simply rest. They repeat. They play back the day in low volume. A conversation replays. A face flickers. A sound drifts back in like smoke. It is not memory as we know it. Not clear or sharp, but more like watercolour. These moments are not for you to see, but for your brain to sort. What matters is filed deeper. What doesn't slowly fades like footprints in sand. The cortex decides quietly, this I will keep, that I will let go. Even in the softest part of sleep, when the heart slows and breath deepens, the brain stays alive with gentle order. Patterns emerge like ripples across a pond. Slow waves roll through the cortex, not unlike the tide cleaning and calming. These slow waves are the lullabies your brain sings to itself. They tell neurons when to fire and when to rest, when to hold and when to release. This rhythm, slower than thought and deeper than feeling, is the sound of restoration. At the same time, deep inside your brain, the thalamus, the gatekeeper of sensation, closes its doors. It gently turns the world down. The lights of noise, touch and sight dim. The cortex is left to its own soft voice. And here, without distraction, it begins to whisper in patterns. Some are dreams, strange and beautiful. Others are quiet checks, a kind of night watch. Neurons ask, is this pathway strong? Is that idea still useful? And gently answers float back. Repair begins not with tools, but with silence. This whispering is not just random noise, it is orchestration. When you sleep, your brain conducts a symphony of small signals. A memory here, a feeling there, a half-forgotten idea, tested again like a chord in a song. And each signal, though quiet, builds the architecture of who you are. These signals smooth rough thoughts and link distant ideas. They make room for tomorrow by tending the garden of yesterday. Sometimes a faint spark leaps across the cortex, a replay of a motor movement, a shadow of a decision. These flashes are part of what scientists call sleep replay. The brain rewalks the paths it walked in waking life. It practices in the dark. A skill, a sentence, a sound. But this practice is not loud or rigid. It is fluid, gentle, shaped like waves. The cortex does not simply repeat, it refines. It sands the edges of memory so it can fit more smoothly into the future. And while these gentle replays unfold, something else shifts. The default mode network, a collection of brain regions, begins to glow. This network is like a quiet room in the back of your mind where daydreams are born. During deep rest, it begins to hum. Connections form between far-flung ideas. Insights simmer slowly. The cortex becomes less like a machine and more like a field, open and fertile. Even in stillness, creativity stirs. As the night deepens, the rhythm grows more precise. The whispers form loops. Neurons speak in time, like dancers in slow motion. They follow patterns older than thought. These rhythms, once hidden, can now be seen through the lens of science. Waves of delta, bursts of spindles, the gentle arcs of theta. Each wave is a word in the brain's language of sleep, and together they tell a story of renewal. The cortex is not alone in this. It speaks with the hippocampus, the keeper of memory. This deep structure sends signals outward, reminding the cortex of things learned. Like a soft voice from the past, it says, "Here is what mattered today," and the cortex, listening carefully, chooses what to hold on to. These exchanges are brief and quiet, but they shape what becomes part of you, a name, a skill, a lesson. Sleep, it turns out, is not forgetting. It is choosing. Toward the end of the night, the whispers grow lighter. The cortex begins to stir. Neurons flicker more easily, preparing for the day's return. But something is different. The clutter is gone. The shelves are dusted. Ideas, once tangled, now rest neatly. This quiet labour of sleep, unseen, unheard, is what lets you wake feeling whole. Not because the brain was silent, but because it was gently whispering all along. Let's drift deeper into the sleeping mind, where the night unfolds not as a single silence, but as a symphony of hidden functions. The brain, though shielded from the world's noise, is not idle. It pulses in cycles, in rhythms older than language, guided by the moonlight of biology. These rhythms, the stages of sleep, are like ocean tides, ebbing and flowing with purpose. Light sleep welcomes you gently. Deeper sleep repairs what was frayed. And in REM, the dreamer awakens within the sleeper, eyes flickering beneath closed lids as thoughts swirl into images. But what is the purpose of these strange layers? Why such careful organization in rest? The answer lies in the body's oldest need, to heal, to remember, and to begin again. During slow-wave sleep, the deepest and most restful stage, the cortex sinks into long, slow pulses. These waves are thick and deliberate, rolling across your brain like fog over hills. They are the deepest breaths of the mind. In these moments, the brain performs one of its most sacred tasks. It begins to clear away the day. Imagine this. Between each cell in your brain lies a tiny space, a quiet alleyway called the interstitial space. By day, this space fills with the clutter of activity, proteins, byproducts, fragments of thought. But at night, the brain opens a hidden valve. Cerebrospinal fluid flows in waves, washing over the cells like rain on dusty windows. This system, called the glymphatic system, is the brain's cleaning crew. It clears out waste, including harmful proteins that, if left behind, may someday tangle memory itself. The cortex, bathed in this cool tide, is purified by rest. As this cleansing continues, something else begins to stir. Deep within the brainstem, a small structure known as the locus coeruleus grows quiet. This tiny cluster, responsible for alertness, shuts down its signals. In doing so, it allows another kind of signal to rise, one of calm, one of dreams. The neurotransmitters that keep us sharp and focused step aside, and in their place, acetylcholine begins to paint with foggy brushstrokes. Dreams, rich in emotion and strangeness, bloom from this chemistry. The cortex, freed from input, begins to play. This play is not meaningless, it is a kind of simulation. In dreams, the brain rearranges what it knows, tests what it feels, and experiments with what might be. A familiar face in an unfamiliar place, a question asked in metaphor. These are not puzzles with answers, but feelings in motion. Scientists now believe that dreaming is more than imagination. It is integration. The cortex, with the help of emotional centers like the amygdala, tries to understand itself in shadows. By doing so, it softens fear, expands empathy, and builds resilience. Meanwhile, memory is being sorted with delicate precision. Not all memories are equal. Some are tossed like scraps, others are etched like stone. The brain in sleep becomes a careful editor. In the hippocampus, new experiences are replayed and sent outward. In the cortex, they are stored in patterns like constellations. This process, known as memory consolidation, turns fragile, temporary moments into sturdy, lasting impressions. A face you studied, a phrase you practiced, a feeling you almost forgot, all of it refined in sleep. These stored patterns are not locked in place. They remain flexible, woven into networks that shift over time. This flexibility, called neuroplasticity, is most active during rest. It's how the cortex remains alive with possibility. The brain is not a finished map, but a forest trail, constantly rerouted. Each night, sleep reopens paths, clears debris, builds bridges. The more you sleep, the more open these paths become. Learning becomes easier. Understanding deepens, and old patterns lose their grip. As neurons rehearse and replay, as pathways are cleared and stitched anew, another mystery emerges. The connection between sleep and emotion. It turns out the brain does not only remember facts in sleep, it reprocesses feelings. Events that once felt sharp with pain can, after sleep, feel softened. Not erased, but understood from a quieter place. This is not magic, it is biology. The amygdala, once fiery with alarm, is calmed by the waves of REM. Emotional memories are filed with greater care. Less panic, more peace. In this way, the sleeping brain becomes a quiet therapist. The cortex, especially the prefrontal areas responsible for judgment and decision, grows stronger with good sleep. It is during rest that the balance between thought and emotion is restored. Without sleep, this balance frays. Irritability rises, clarity dims, but with sleep, the cortex and its allies return to harmony. You awake with better focus, gentler emotions, and steadier thoughts, not because the brain rested, but because it repaired its instruments. And then there is the poetry of insight. Sleep does not simply organize the past. It sometimes reveals something new. The cortex, left to wander without constraint, can stumble into strange combinations. An idea long forgotten, paired with a moment from yesterday, now blooming into realization. The quiet creativity of sleep is not loud or dramatic. It is subtle. A painter's final stroke, a note that lingers, a problem solved not by thinking but by letting go. Some of our best ideas come not when we force them, but when the cortex has room to breathe. Sleep, then, is not absence. It is transformation. The cortex, in all its folds and whispers, does not turn off. It turns inward. It does not forget. It refines. It does not shut down. It reawakens in new form. And in this stillness, the brain becomes a gardener, a healer, a storyteller, and a keeper of all that matters. The resting brain is not empty. It is blooming slowly, silently, like flowers in the dark. Now imagine the final stretch of night, when your body lies deepest in rest, and the brain, so softly lit within, moves toward quiet completion. The cortex, which has spent hours sorting, sweeping, weaving, and wandering, begins to slow its rhythms just slightly. The great cycles of sleep are rounding home. A hush settles in the neural sky. The tasks of memory and emotion have been tended. The garden has been pruned. The echoes of dreams begin to drift outward, fading like mist at sunrise. Yet the brain is not done. One last task remains, to gently prepare you to rise again. In this last chapter of the night, the architecture of sleep shifts subtly. Rapid eye movements, sleep, REM, grows longer. These are the dreams that linger. Here the brain flutters gently like a bird in a hidden nest. The cortex brightens slightly, especially in regions tied to vision and emotion. Images may flow like rivers, unreal, strange, but rich with feeling. Scientists call these dreams integrative. The brain is not just remembering or cleaning, it is shaping you. Gently, without command or control, the cortex is redefining the self. As these final dreams unfold, the body remains still, paralyzed by design. It is a protective stillness, letting the dreamer roam without acting. Yet beneath that stillness, the heartbeat rises slightly, the breath changes pace. The thalamus, once guarding the gate to sensation, begins to open it again. Light seeps in through closed lids. The sounds of early morning begin to shimmer, and the cortex, still adrift in silent work, begins to anticipate return. In this state, the brain completes its most mysterious function, integration. Thoughts once separated, by time, by feeling, by category, are now drawn together like threads in a tapestry. The brain does not show you the full design. It leaves that for waking life, but it weaves quietly, stitching old insights with new sensations, pairing questions with curiosity, pain with understanding. This is why sleep does not just refresh, it renews. You do not wake as the person who fell asleep, you wake slightly more whole. There is wonder in this. The cortex, once thought to be passive in sleep, is now understood to be a master of transformation. Electroencephalograms, or EEGs, show waves of activity in elegant cycles. Neurons light up in slow pulses or sudden bursts. These waves, delta, theta, alpha, beta, move not randomly but in meaning. Each carries a whisper of purpose: calm, reflect, repair, remember. Your sleeping brain is a quiet city, aglow with midnight work. As the morning nears, cortisol levels begin to rise gently, not as stress, but as light. This hormone nudges the brain toward wakefulness. It tells the cortex, soon you must open your gates. It's almost time. The default mode network begins to quiet, pulling back from its drifting. The prefrontal cortex sharpens slightly. Your thoughts may still be cloudy, but the fog is lifting. Awareness begins to return like birdsong in trees. But before full waking comes a moment of grace, the hypnopompic state. It is the mirror of falling asleep, but in reverse. In this narrow passage between sleep and wake, the brain still hums with dream logic. Time feels stretchy. Thoughts drift like clouds. You may remember a dream and feel it dissolve as you reach for it. This is the cortex handing you its final whisper, a glimpse of the night's quiet work. And then, slowly you open your eyes. Light enters. Sensation returns. You are no longer in the world within. The cortex, now awake, shifts from inward to outward. It begins receiving again sight, sound, touch. But what it receives is filtered through a night of careful restoration. Emotions arrive softened. Memories are sharpened. Ideas are clearer. What you notice, what you feel, what you do, it is all coloured gently by what the sleeping cortex has done. This gentle return to wakefulness is a kind of re-entry. You may stretch or yawn or stare quietly at the ceiling. You may feel peaceful or pensive, but you are different. The night has shaped you. Your brain has not been waiting, it has been working, healing, honing, dreaming. The cortex, once whispering to itself in slow, slow waves and quiet sparks, now hums again with full light. But the echoes remain, guiding your morning steps with softness. So when you rise and walk into the day, you carry more than sleep behind your eyes. You carry the memory of a night's whispering, a symphony of sparks, a garden of thoughts, a tide of renewal. The sleepy synapse has done its work. The cortex, keeper of your waking self, now walks with you, clearer, calmer, kinder. All because in the quiet dark your brain never truly rested. It remembered how to become whole. In the stillness of sleep, when your eyes are closed and your breath is slow, your mind begins to wander through an invisible garden. It is a place no one else can see, a landscape made of thoughts and feelings, shaped by experience and softened by time. This is the memory garden, a quiet place within your brain where the seeds of thought are sown, tended, and sometimes transformed. The soil here is rich with fragments of your day, a glance, a voice, a colour, a scent. While you rest, the mind carefully plants each one, deciding which memories to keep and which to let dissolve like morning mist. As sleep deepens and the world slips away, your brain begins the slow and delicate task of memory formation. This work is quiet and unseen, carried out not by will, but by rhythm. In this rhythm, memories are not stacked like books or filed like papers. They are grown. A conversation is not just remembered, it takes root. A new skill is not just stored, it begins to bloom. The hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped structure deep within your brain, acts like a gardener. It receives today's events and gently passes them to the cortex for safekeeping, where they can spread their roots and grow strong. But not every thought becomes a lasting memory. Some fall away like petals. The brain must choose what was meaningful, what stirred emotion, what pattern repeated. These questions are not asked with words, but through waves of sleep. During non-REM stages, the hippocampus replays experiences in slow, measured pulses. These pulses awaken circuits in the cortex, encouraging growth like sunlight on a seedling. The stronger the pulse, the more likely the memory will stay. The brain whispers again and again, testing the soil of the mind, waiting to see what will take hold. While this gentle work continues, another world opens. In REM sleep, where dreams drift like fireflies, the mind begins to reshape what it has planted. Here, in the garden's quiet corners, imagination waters memory. A voice from your day might return in a new place wearing new meaning. A feeling buried deep may rise and unfold. These are not distortions. They are the brain's way of pruning and weaving. It bends memory gently, connecting distant thoughts, blending emotion with detail. Dreams are the gardeners of understanding. This blending helps make sense of what might otherwise stay tangled. A hard moment can be softened. A joy can be replayed. A confusion may be rearranged until it makes more sense. In the language of dreams, the garden becomes a workshop. The brain does not forget. It refines. As neuroscientists now understand, dreaming helps stabilize memories, linking them into patterns and networks. These networks are not rigid like shelves. They are flexible like vines, growing and adjusting with every night's rest. And it is not only events that take root. Knowledge too finds fertile ground. A formula learned, a word practiced, a sound repeated. During sleep, the memory garden rehearses. Neurons echo with quiet signals, tracing pathways that will soon become automatic. Sleep does not just keep information safe, it helps it bloom into skill. Musicians, athletes, students, anyone who learns, find that sleep deepens their grasp. The brain strengthens the roots of what it has only begun to know. But perhaps most mysterious is how the memory garden holds the self. Our identity, what we remember of who we are, is not kept in one place. It is scattered across the cortex, woven through billions of connections. And every night while we sleep, these threads are brushed and mended. Old memories may fade, new ones may glow, yet somehow through this constant change, the pattern remains. You wake as yourself, yet slightly renewed. The garden grows, but its shape is familiar. Sometimes in sleep, a forgotten memory stirs. It floats up like a lost leaf, carried by the winds of a dream. A song from childhood, a face from long ago. These moments may feel random, but they are part of the brain's exploration. It moves through the garden not by map, but by intuition. It tests the soil of memory, checks what still holds meaning, and gently lets go of what no longer does. In this way, the mind becomes both a keeper and a curator. Even painful memories have their place. The brain does not erase them, but it may change how they feel. During sleep, emotional memories are processed through the limbic system, softened by repetition, cooled by time. The garden learns to hold thorns without being hurt. What once burned now only glows faintly. This healing is quiet but real. It is the reason sleep can be such a comfort after sorrow. So while your body lies still, your brain is hard at work in its garden of thought. Planting, pruning, watering, weaving, it is work that cannot be rushed. A full night's sleep gives the garden time to bloom. And when you wake, you carry with you its quiet harvest, memories steadier, understanding deeper, thoughts more connected. The brain, through sleep, makes sense of the world. Not all at once, but slowly, gently, night by night. Let's drift deeper into the garden where memory ripens under the quiet moon. In this place, the work of the night continues, not with urgency, but with care. Here, the garden is not only made of new seeds, it is full of delicate threads reaching backward in time. As sleep deepens, the brain revisits not only the day just past, but the stories from many days before. This journey through memory is not a straight line. It curves and sways, touching past joys, old lessons, and long-forgotten fears. These revisits are not distractions. They are part of how the brain makes meaning. To know the present, it must sometimes walk through the past. In this gentle walking, neurons fire in familiar patterns. Networks that once held strong emotions light up again, not to repeat them, but to understand them. The brain becomes both observer and participant, watching as feelings unfold in safety. A fear felt years ago, a hope once held, a conversation remembered only in pieces. The mind lays these moments out like stones in a stream, studying their shape. This is not rumination, it is quiet rebalancing. The memory garden does not just collect events, it nurtures wisdom. And while memories of experience are tended, so too are memories of movement. Procedural memory, how we tie shoes, ride bikes, speak languages, finds its own rhythm in sleep. Deep within the motor cortex and cerebellum, silent rehearsals take place. Muscles do not move, but the signals fire as if they might. This rehearsal, repeated in shadows, makes future actions smoother. Sleep is not just for learning facts. It is for remembering how to move, how to speak, how to be in the world with grace. As the brain practices, it also explores. Connections not tried before may bloom quietly in the night. Scientists call this process offline learning. A thought pause during the day may resume during sleep in a new direction. The cortex, freed from distractions, follows faint paths. It may find a new link between ideas. It may sense a new pattern. This is how the memory garden grows beyond what was planted. Sleep does not just protect memory, it creates it. In this calm state, the default mode network stirs again. It is not concerned with tasks or rules. It is the brain's dreamer. During waking hours, it helps us daydream, reflect, wander in thought. In sleep, it hums with potential. Bits of knowledge stored far apart are drawn together. An image and an idea, a problem and a memory. Without trying, the brain begins to make art of thought. This is why sleep so often brings clarity. In the memory garden, unrelated seeds grow side by side and bloom into something new. And yet the garden needs balance. Too much remembering can overwhelm. The brain, wise in its silence, also forgets. Not cruelly, not carelessly, but with purpose. Synaptic pruning is the name for this quiet trimming. Connections not used are gently released. Thoughts without roots are let go. This makes room for new growth. Forgetting in sleep is not loss, it is tending. Like clearing leaves to let sunlight in, the brain lets go to allow more to flourish. Alongside this pruning, a delicate protection takes place. Memories tied to identity, your name, your face, your story, are woven tightly through sleep. These are guarded closely by regions like the medial prefrontal cortex. Sleep strengthens them, not just as facts, but as feelings. Who you are is not kept in one place. It is scattered, yet unified each night. The garden center holds, no matter how much else changes. Emotion plays a guiding role in what stays and what fades. The brain weighs feeling as it chooses. An ordinary detail with strong emotion may be saved, while a fact without meaning may be forgotten. This is why the memory garden is never a neutral place. It grows what matters. Even your dreams carry this weight. The images that remain after waking are often the ones that touched your heart. In this way, emotion is not a visitor. It is the sun by which the garden grows. Sleep also helps create boundaries. Traumatic memories are handled with special care. The amygdala, which sparks fear, is soothed during REM. Its fires cool. The cortex, with help from the hippocampus, walks carefully around these memories, sometimes revisiting, sometimes setting them aside. With enough sleep, even painful memories can be softened, not erased, but laid down gently. The brain learns not to be ruled by them. This is the healing power of the night. And all this happens without your knowing. You do not have to try, you do not have to think. The garden tends itself. It moves with quiet confidence built over thousands of nights, thousands of dreams. Your brain is ancient in its wisdom. Each wave of sleep is a ritual. Each cycle is a season. And when the night passes, you will carry its work within you, not loudly, but like the scent of flowers after rain. Memory, after all, is not just a record. It is a foundation. Sleep makes it strong, sleep makes it kind. And through this process, you become more than just someone who remembers. You become someone who understands, someone who grows, someone who carries a garden of thoughts that stretch like vines toward morning. As the final hours of sleep unfold, the memory garden prepares for dawn. It is not hurried, it is not finished, but it begins to quiet, like a forest just before the birds begin to sing. The rhythms of REM sleep, with their strange dreams and shifting patterns, give way to lighter sleep. The brain begins to stir, softly pulling back from its deep inner work. The hippocampus sends fewer signals. The cortex grows still. The waves that once moved like tides begin to settle. Yet before you rise, one final task remains, the integration of everything the night has offered. In this peaceful end of sleep, your brain does not simply hold memories, it links them. This is the difference between remembering and understanding. A fact by itself is like a single leaf, but linked to a feeling, a sound, a thought, it becomes part of a tree. And those trees, rooted in different places in the brain, connect beneath the surface. This is how insight blooms. It may come quietly as a shift in mood, a gentle knowing, a sense that something has changed, even if you cannot say how. The garden of memory is not only for recalling, it is for becoming. What was practiced is now smoother. What was confusing is now clearer. The brain has rehearsed, reordered, refined. It has laid down pathways, strengthened signals, pruned away noise. You may not remember the dreams that did the work. You may not recall the moments when it happened, but you will feel it. In a word remembered more easily, in a task done more smoothly, in a feeling of readiness you did not have before. This is the invisible fruit of sleep. The brain, so complex in daylight, becomes elegant in sleep. It uses fewer signals but more meaning. It focuses not on speed but on depth. This is what gives sleep its restorative power. It does not just reset the body, it renews the mind. And when the mind is renewed, the self becomes steadier. The memory garden has made sense of the day, preserved what matters, softened what hurt, and left behind the rest. It has left space for what will come next. Sometimes this space is where creativity awakens. An idea that wouldn't come yesterday arrives gently in the morning. A solution that seemed hidden now feels clear. This is not luck. It is the quiet magic of the dreaming brain. During the night, the mind explored possibilities without boundaries. It tried things without fear, and though you slept, your imagination wandered. That wandering leaves a trail, and when you wake, you sometimes find it waiting. But not all mornings are the same. Some days you wake foggy, some days you wake clear. The difference, more often than not, lies in the quality of rest. When the full cycle of sleep is allowed, when the garden is left untouched through the night, the harvest is richest, but when sleep is broken or shortened, the work is incomplete. Memory becomes scattered, emotions sharpen, thoughts lose their ease. The garden cannot grow without time, and yet the brain is forgiving. One night of poor rest may blur the edges, but the memory garden will try again. It is always tending, always repairing, always reaching toward clarity. Like nature, it finds its way back to balance. Like a tree after storm, it regrows, and each night, no matter how heavy the day, the garden waits, not with force, but with patience. You do not need to command it, you only need to rest. So when you open your eyes and the light returns, know that your brain has already been awake in its own way. It has wandered paths of memory, lit lanterns of meaning, whispered across neurons like wind through trees. It has made you ready, not just for the tasks of the day, but for the life you are still shaping. The memory garden has left you with more than facts. It has given you understanding. You rise, and with you rise the seeds of all that sleep has done. They are quiet, invisible, but they are there. In the way your thoughts flow, in the way your heart feels steadier, in the way you face the world, not as someone burdened by memory, but as someone strengthened by it. Sleep has done its work. The garden has grown, and now, beneath the light of day, you carry its peace with you. There is a quiet kind of light inside you. It does not flicker like fire, nor shine like the sun. It pulses softly and steadily, deep within the folds of your brain. This light is not made of flame, it is made of electricity. Tiny charges flow through the neurons like whispers, linking cell to cell in a language too fast to hear, too small to see. And while this electricity moves all day, guiding your thoughts and decisions, it changes its tune at night. In sleep, the sparks slow down, but they do not stop. They become more rhythmic, more deliberate. They stop reacting and start restoring. These are the silent sparks, the soft pulses of healing that flicker through the resting brain. Each of your brain's billions of neurons holds a tiny charge, like a seed holding the promise of a future spark. During the day, these sparks leap quickly from cell to cell, responding to the world. You see, you speak, you move, and the electricity follows, but this constant activity builds up stress. The pathways become tired, the cells need rest, and so, when sleep arrives, the brain does something extraordinary. It changes its electrical language. From rapid, scattered signals, it shifts into waves. Large, slow waves of coordinated pulses sweep across the cortex, like wind over grass. These waves do not carry messages outward. They carry healing inward, and the deepest sleep brings the slowest waves, delta waves, moving less than 4 times per second. These are the slow sparks of healing. They roll gently through the brain, linking distant regions in calm conversation. In this state, neurons are no longer shouting, they are listening. They are pausing between each pulse, they are realigning their rhythms with the whole. This alignment is not just for rest, it is for repair. The brain uses electricity not only to think, but to heal itself. The silent sparks guide the cleanup, the resetting, the deep internal work. During these waves, something beautiful happens. The glial cells, caretakers of the brain, begin to act. They clear out metabolic waste, toxic buildup, and the residue of daily thought. The electrical rhythm helps them know when and where to move. The sparks, though soft, are signals of permission. Like lanterns lighting the path, they guide the cleaning crew through the night. Without these silent sparks, the brain cannot fully restore itself, and without restoration, the next day begins on shaky ground. Beyond cleanup, these pulses carry instructions. They help neurons know which connections to strengthen and which to let go. A pathway used often is gently sparked again and again, reinforcing its strength. A connection no longer needed grows quiet and over time may fade. This is how the brain prunes its own branches. The electricity does not force, it suggests. It moves like music, helping each neuron find its place in the larger song. Even the structure of sleep is shaped by sparks. Each stage is marked by its own pattern of waves, alpha, theta, delta, and back again. These patterns are not just symbols, they are tools. They signal transitions, they organize the night. Like clock hands moving in the dark, they tell the brain when to shift from memory to dreaming, from repair to reflection. These changes happen without our knowing, but they are guided by the electric breath of the sleeping brain. The thalamus, the brain's gatekeeper of sensation, plays a key role in this orchestration. During sleep, it shifts its firing patterns, helping to block out the outside world. Its pulses change shape, from rapid bursts to soft spindles, bursts of rhythmic sparks that appear during stage 2 sleep. These spindles protect the mind from sudden noises, keep the brain stable, and support memory processing. They are like guards at the garden gate, ensuring that the inner work is not disturbed. At the same time, the cortex and hippocampus carry out conversations in sparks. Memories from the day are replayed in bursts. The hippocampus sends a ripple of energy, and the cortex responds with a wave. These exchanges, called sharp wave ripples and cortical upstates, help lay down lasting memories. It is a form of communication spoken in pulses. Each spark says, "Remember this, strengthen that, let this one go." The night is full of these small electric decisions, and while the brain rests, the body is listening. The heart slows, guided by the brainstem's soft signals. The lungs breathe more deeply, muscles relax. This peaceful state is held together by the spark of brain signals that keep everything balanced. Even in stillness, the brain sends quiet instructions, reminding the body to keep healing, keep breathing, keep renewing. The silent sparks do not need attention. They only need time and quiet. When all of this unfolds as it should, the brain wakes stronger. It does not feel the sparks. It does not remember the waves, but the effects remain. Thoughts flow more smoothly, emotions feel less sharp, the mind feels clearer, lighter. This is the gift of the electric number at night, the slow, steady light that restores you from within. So when you lie down and close your eyes, the sparks do not go dark. They simply change. They quiet themselves into waves, soft and slow. They stop shouting and begin humming. They begin the work of healing. And all through the night, while the world is still, your brain glows with silent sparks that make you whole again. Let us drift deeper into the electric hush of sleep, where the brain becomes a cathedral of rhythm, lit not by flame, but by gentle pulses. These pulses, though faint, are full of meaning. They carry instructions not in words, but in timing. Each wave that rolls across the cortex is like a soft breath through the mind. It says to the neurons, rest now, repair now, speak softly to one another. In this language of light, the sleeping brain performs miracles. It restores balance, it strengthens memory, it soothes emotion. And it does all this with sparks that no eye can see and no hand can hold. During sleep, the nature of electricity changes. In waking life, your neurons fire in unpredictable bursts. They respond to the chaos of sound, movement, decision. But in sleep, these bursts become patterns. They fall into rhythm, guided by the body's deep need to heal. The brain no longer chases the world. It turns inward, like a tide retreating from the shore. These inward waves, slow, wide, and full of order, are called delta waves. They are the deepest form of electrical calm, and they are the foundation of the brain's nightly restoration. Delta waves flow across the cortex like rain soaking into soil. They wash away the static of the day. They allow the neurons to reset their thresholds, to prepare for tomorrow's thoughts. These waves are not idle. They are active in stillness. They reduce noise between signals. They allow the brain's tiny batteries, the mitochondria inside each cell, to recover. The brain uses more energy than any other part of the body, and during the day, it burns bright. But at night, these slow waves let the cells breathe again. They do not push, they allow. And in this allowing, healing begins. At the same time, sleep spindles bloom in bursts. These are rapid, rhythmic sparks that flicker like stars. They appear in stage 2 sleep, dancing between the thalamus and the cortex. Their job is to stabilize the mind, to block out distractions, to keep sleep deep and steady. But they do more than that. These spindles seem to mark moments for memory. They tag experiences for storage. Like tiny bookmarks in the mind, they help the brain decide, this is important. Hold on to this. Let that drift away. Sharp wave ripples, tiny bursts of energy in the hippocampus join this symphony. These ripples replay recent experiences. They echo lessons learned, moments felt, and the cortex listens. If the echo's strong, the cortex builds a new circuit. If the echo's faint, the thought fades. This is the brain's quiet decision-making. And it all happens through sparks, thousands of them, silent and purposeful. Sleep is not passive. It is a dialogue between energy and memory. But the electricity does more than organize thoughts. It restores emotion. During REM sleep, the patterns shift. The slow waves give way to faster rhythms. The brain becomes almost as active as when awake. The difference is in purpose. Now emotion is at the center. The amygdala, which holds the echoes of fear and joy, becomes more sensitive. But the cortex, the voice of reason, remains calm. This pairing allows the brain to revisit emotions without becoming overwhelmed. It replays heartache, confusion or longing, but gently under soft control. This is how emotional memories are processed, not erased, but smoothed. The sparks let the heart breathe again. This same gentle current also fosters creativity. In sleep, especially REM, the brain becomes a painter. It combines pieces of thought that never met before. A sound from yesterday meets a feeling from childhood. A colour pairs with a forgotten face. These strange combinations are not accidents. They are the brain's experiments. Sparks leap across distant regions, trying new routes. When they succeed, something beautiful may emerge. A new idea, a new way of seeing. And all of it shaped in the quiet dark. Even the body, far from the brain's electric pulses, is affected. Heart rate and breathing shift in time with the brain waves. Hormones rise and fall, cued by electrical rhythm. Growth hormone surges in deep sleep, helping the body repair tissue. Immune cells respond to the cues. Inflammation softens. The body listens to the brain, and the brain speaks in sparks. When sleep is broken, this electricity becomes disordered. Waves fracture, spindles fade. The slow pulses never reach their full sweep. And without them, the healing stalls. The brain wakes feeling unfinished. Memory blurs. Emotions sharpen. Focus slips. But when sleep is whole, when the full rhythm flows, the sparks weave everything back together. They repair the web of thought. They strengthen the structure of self. You may not feel these sparks, but they shape you. They do not glow in the way a candle glows. They shimmer within, quiet and steady. They are the breath of the brain, the hum of healing. And every night when you give yourself to rest, they begin again. Unseen, unspoken, unstoppable. So if you have ever wondered what happens when you sleep, remember this. Your brain becomes a storm of light, gentle and wise. It heals with rhythm. It dreams in waves. It grows in sparks. And in the morning, when you open your eyes, you carry that light with you. Not as memory, not as fact, but as something deeper. A quiet strength built while the world was still. As the last hours of sleep begin to slip away and morning edges closer, the electrical landscape of the brain shifts once again. The slow delta waves that once ruled the night begin to fade. In their place, faster rhythms stir, gentle beta and soft alpha waves begin to ripple through the cortex, not sharply but like light spreading over a quiet field. These new rhythms signal the approach of waking, but before the brain fully returns to the world, it finishes its quiet work. The final sparks are not for thinking, but for integrating. They bind the night's healing into a form you can carry with you. These final waves are delicate, not hurried. The brain still pulses, but now it moves between dreaming and awareness. This is the bridge, the transition from inward restoration to outward readiness. In this bridge, the brain does not forget the night's work. Instead, it gently seals it in. The neurons that replayed memories settle into place. The glial cells, having cleared the metabolic clutter, retreat into stillness. The circuits are stronger now, the rhythms more stable. Everything that needed attention has been given it, not with force, but with the consistent hum of sleep's electricity. And though your body has not moved much through the night, deep healing has occurred. The heart, guided by brain signals, has repaired. Muscles, bathed in growth hormones triggered by the brain's wave patterns, have mended. Even your immune system, often strained by stress, has been given time to reset. The sparks that flowed through the night weren't only for thought. They were instructions for healing, a kind of electric symphony played across your whole being. Even the sense of self has been reshaped. The prefrontal cortex, the home of planning, reasoning and personality, has had its chance to rest and reorganize. You may not notice it immediately, but your judgments will be calmer today, your reactions more balanced. That is not just because you're rested, it's because the sparks have recalibrated the circuits that make up your awareness. Sleep has tuned the instrument of your mind. This invisible tuning continues right up to waking. And in these final moments, when the light behind your eyelids starts to brighten, when distant sounds begin to form meaning, the brain finishes its gentle descent back into alertness. Cortisol, the hormone that nudges wakefulness, begins to rise. The thalamus reopens its gates, allowing sensation back in. The cortex prepares to switch from inward rhythm to outward reaction. But even as it returns to the world, it carries the imprint of the night. And what is this imprint? It's not a single thought or a clear memory. It's something more subtle. It's the smoothness in your thinking, the steadiness in your voice, the way you meet challenges without panic. These are the echoes of the night's electricity, silent sparks that left no scars but left strength. They are the reason your mind feels ready. Your emotions feel less jagged. Your words come easier. The brain is healed not by silence but by rhythm. On the rare nights when sleep is broken or shallow, this healing does not complete. The waves are fragmented, the sparks scattered. The brain wakes not fully charged, but buzzing without balance. Focus becomes harder. Memory feels soft around the edges. Emotion stands too close to the surface. But the brain remembers how to restore itself. One good night, one full cycle of healing sparks, and the balance begins to return. Sleep, like electricity, finds its path again. It is easy to forget that every thought we have, every memory, every word, every dream, is born of electricity. But sleep reminds us. It shows us that healing is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it is quiet and slow and pulsing softly through the night. It is a glow without heat, a hum without noise, and it is always working even when we do nothing at all. So when you lie down again tonight, remember this: you are not going offline, you are not shutting down, you are entering a sacred process, one that began long before you were born. You are giving your brain to its own rhythm, its own wisdom, and in return it will give you clarity, calm, strength, all carried in the current of those silent healing sparks that light the darkness inside you. As you rise and step into the day, you carry with you more than rest. You carry the quiet brilliance of a brain restored, a self rewoven, a mind humming gently with the soft electricity of sleep. As the world quiets and the sky turns dark, something remarkable begins inside you. While your body finds stillness, your brain begins its night shift. Not with clamour, but with calm. Not with busyness, but with purpose. This is not the work of thought or decision, but of healing. Beneath the surface of your silence, neurons, tiny star-shaped cells, begin a process that only sleep can allow. We are the caretakers of your mind, the quiet repair crew that comes out only when the noise of day has faded. They do not wear uniforms, they do not carry tools, but they carry something far more powerful, the ability to renew the very structure of who you are. Throughout the day, your brain is flooded with activity. Every sight, sound, word, and feeling sends a ripple of electrical and chemical messages between neurons. They connect, they stretch, they adjust. It is a beautiful chaos, but it takes its toll. By evening, the circuits grow tired, the signals grow fuzzy, and so the brain does what only the brain can. It prepares for restoration. As you fall asleep, a change begins. Brainwaves slow, neurons reduce their chatter. The body surrenders to gravity and the mind slips inward. And in this inwardness, the repair crew begins its work. The first task is balance. During the day, your neurons become more excitable. They fire quickly, sometimes too quickly. This helps you stay alert, but it also creates imbalance. Sleep helps restore what scientists call synaptic homeostasis. Simply put, your brain trims back the excess. It smooths out the pathways that grew too wild. Not to erase knowledge, but to refine it. Just like trimming a tree makes it grow stronger, this pruning allows the most important connections to thrive. Neurons whisper softly to each other, adjusting the strength of their links, deciding what should be kept and what should be gently let go. But the night shift does more than tidy up. It repairs. Each neuron, wrapped in a delicate membrane, is constantly stressed by the energy it uses. During sleep, special molecules arrive, proteins that rebuild cell walls, enzymes that clean up debris, signals that guide damaged parts toward healing. Glial cells, especially astrocytes, take the lead in this work. They are the support staff of the brain, watching over neurons like quiet guardians. During sleep, they increase their activity, clearing away what is no longer needed, restoring what is frayed. They do not ask for credit. They only ask for darkness and time. Even the spaces between neurons, so tiny they seem invisible, are refreshed. These spaces, called synapses, are where communication happens. All day long they are filled with chemical messengers. Some of these messengers linger too long, cluttering the signal. At night, with the help of sleep, these spaces are washed clean. The glymphatic system, a kind of brain-wide drainage network, flushes cerebrospinal fluid through the brain, clearing away waste. It is as if the brain opens its windows and lets a cool wind pass through, carrying away everything that is no longer useful. And while the cleanup continues, new materials are being delivered. Genes responsible for growth and repair are activated more during sleep than during any waking moment. These genes tell cells to build new proteins, to fix tiny tears, to strengthen their outer layers. It is a construction site, but without the noise. Each piece is placed with care. Each repair makes the neuron more resilient. Without this night work, the brain would begin each day more fragile than the last. Sleep then is not escape, it is reinforcement. All of this is carefully timed. As your sleep deepens, the brain moves through different stages. In non-REM sleep, the repair crew is most active. The slow waves of deep sleep act like a signal. Now is the time. Neurons and glial cells respond in harmony. There is no rush, there is only rhythm. This rhythm allows even the tiniest structures, like dendritic spines, the small branches that help neurons connect, to grow and stabilize. Learning from the day before is shaped into form. Emotions that felt sharp are dulled into memory. Every cell finds its place. As this process unfolds, the brain becomes more efficient. Not just at remembering, but at being. Pain is processed differently, stress is buffered, inflammation is reduced. All because the night shift neurons are doing their quiet labor, away from the spotlight. And perhaps what's most beautiful is that this happens not because you try, but because you let go, because you surrender, because you sleep. You may never feel the repairs being made. You may never see the glial cells at work, but you feel the result, in the clarity of your thoughts, in the steadiness of your emotions, in the quiet strength with which you meet the day. This is the unseen miracle of sleep. It is not a pause, it is not an absence, it is the time when your brain returns to itself, when it repairs what life has worn down, when it builds something stronger in the dark. And so when you lie down and close your eyes, know this: a shift has begun, a quiet crew has stepped forward, and in the deepest part of the night, they will do what they were made to do, not loudly, not quickly, but with care. They will mend what is broken, they will strengthen what is fragile. They will prepare you, not just to wake, but to become whole again. Let's drift further into the deep night, where the brain continues its quiet work, layer by layer, spark by spark. The neurons do not sleep as the rest of the body does. Instead, they switch roles. They stop reacting to the outside world. and begin tending to their inner world. Think of a city that by day is full of voices, movement and light, but at night becomes still enough to sweep the streets, repair the wires, and check every window. Your brain is that city, and its neurons become the workers who rebuild the very roads they've just travelled. This rebuilding begins with recalibration. During the day, neurons are constantly sending and receiving signals, spikes of voltage that carry meaning from one cell to another. Each signal uses energy, shifts chemicals, stretches the limits of what the cell can handle. In time, this activity wears down the cell's machinery, but sleep brings pause, and with pause comes repair. Calcium levels are reset, ion channels are rebalanced, cell membranes that grew thin are reinforced. The neurons begin again, not wiped clean, but renewed from within. They are no longer frayed at the edges. They hum softly, as if gathering strength. One of the most delicate tasks is managing the connections between neurons, the synapses. These junctions are not fixed like wires. They are living, changing structures. Throughout the day, some connections grow stronger while others weaken. But too much strengthening can cause problems. If every connection remained intense, the brain would be overwhelmed. So in sleep, the brain performs synaptic downscaling. It carefully trims back the signals, allowing only the most meaningful ones to stay strong. This pruning isn't destruction, it's refinement. It's how the brain protects itself from noise and preserves clarity. Glial cells, especially microglia and astrocytes, guide this process. They glide between neurons, checking the health of each connection. If a synapse is too weak, too unused, they help dissolve it. If it's valuable, they protect it. These support cells also release growth factors, encouraging neurons to rebuild where needed. They are not background characters, they are co-creators of cognition, and in sleep they are most active. It is as though the brain waits for darkness to bring out its most gentle builders. While this structural work continues, deeper systems begin to shift. The brain's glymphatic system, only discovered recently, opens fully in sleep. Cerebrospinal fluid flows more freely between brain cells, carrying away waste proteins that would otherwise accumulate. Among these proteins is beta amyloid, which, if left unchecked, can form the plaques associated with memory loss. During sleep, the fluid moves rhythmically with your breath, washing the brain clean. It is a tide drawn not by the moon, but by silence. Without sleep, this tide cannot flow, and without it, toxins remain, quietly dulling the mind. But the night shift neurons are not just janitors or engineers, they are translators of experience. What you lived through during the day is not simply stored, it is interpreted. The hippocampus, the brain's archivist, replays memories in short bursts. It sends them to the cortex, where they are woven into long-term storage. These replays happen in flashes, sharp wave ripples that pulse like Morse code through the night. Each ripple is a message, remember this. And the cortex listens, echoing the rhythm with its own quiet reply. This call and a response builds memory like stone upon stone. At the same time, emotional repair is underway. The amygdala, which helps process fear and threat, is soothed during sleep. The prefrontal cortex, the voice of logic and reflection, gains more control. This balance allows you to revisit emotional memories without being overwhelmed by them. It allows healing to happen gently beneath awareness. Even nightmares, though distressing, are part of this process. Your brain trying to reshape difficult feelings into manageable stories. It is a rehearsal for resilience. All of this occurs not in isolation, but as part of a rhythm. The sleep cycle repeats every 90 minutes, each cycle diving deep and then rising again. And in each cycle, the repair grows more refined. Neurons reconnect in more meaningful ways. Synapses that were hesitant begin to grow. Circuits that were frayed begin to glow with new stability. The brain is not rebuilding from scratch, it is evolving gently, wisely, shaped by its own experience. By the time morning nears, the work is nearly complete. The brain has cleared its waste, it has restored its balance, it has reinforced the bridges between thoughts, and all of this has happened without your effort, without your knowing. You did not command it, you simply allowed it. That is the quiet truth of sleep. The repair does not require action, it only requires time. You will wake with the benefits, not the memories. You will feel steadier, more focused, better able to feel without breaking. The night shift neurons have done their job, and when you close your eyes again tomorrow, they will begin again. not because you ask, but because that is what they were made to do. Now imagine the final hours of night, when the body remains still and the outside world is quiet, but within you, the last waves of work gently rise and fall. The brain does not rush to finish, it does not force its healing, it moves in patience. The night shift neurons, having swept and mended through hours of deep rest, begin to slow their pace. They are not shutting down, they are handing over. As dawn draws near, the cycles of sleep grow lighter, but the brain continues its orchestration, preparing you not just to wake, but to wake whole. The final tasks are ones of sealing and smoothing. Neural connections that were tested and reshaped through the night are now confirmed. The brain gently rechecks its work. It sends faint sparks across new pathways, asking softly, "Are you ready?" A memory that once wavered now holds firmer. An emotion that once flooded now flows more gently. Even as your body lies quiet, the finishing touches are being laid like the final strokes of a painter brushing light into a landscape. The prefrontal cortex, which had rested through the deep stages of sleep, now begins to stir. This part of the brain governs reason, planning, and choice. During the day, it can be overwhelmed by input, by pressure, by decision after decision. But sleep restores its balance. The circuits are rewired, the signals refined. As it reawakens, it does so in a state of calm readiness. The thoughts you carry today will be clearer. The decisions you make will feel more grounded. This is not simply because you rested. It is because your brain has been actively preparing for this moment. The final waves of REM sleep ripple gently now, allowing the mind to rehearse life in dreamlike layers. This stage, though often filled with imagery and surreal sensation, is not random. It is the mind's theatre, where past experiences, current emotions, and future scenarios are all woven together into a quiet dress rehearsal for being. These dreams may feel odd or fleeting, but their purpose is rooted in truth. They let the brain explore without consequence, to try without judgment, to imagine without risk. These rehearsals leave behind something real, a sense of possibility, a deeper emotional understanding, a readiness to meet the day. And all through this, the repair team does not leave until its work is done. The glial cells finish their sweeping, the waste-clearing tides begin to ebb. The signals across the cortex grow more coordinated. The night has worked its quiet magic, and the scaffolding that once held its healing is gently taken down. What remains is not visible, but it is felt. The calm, the clarity, the faint glow of renewal behind every thought. The transition to waking begins not with suddenness, but with shifts. Cortisol levels rise, not as alarm, but as invitation. The thalamus reopens its gates to sensation. Light filtering through your eyelids begins to speak to your brain. The circuits begin to hum with a softer energy, and the neurons, having done their sacred task, step back. They have repaired their bridges, they have strengthened their roots, they have restored the networks that hold your mind together. And when you open your eyes, it is not just your sight that returns, it is your wholeness. You may not remember your dreams, but their influence is there. You may not feel the microscopic repairs, but your clarity reveals them. You rise not simply as someone who slept, but as someone who has been rebuilt in silence. The night shift neurons have completed their work. They do not ask for thanks, they do not linger in the light. They fade quietly, ready to wait until the next sunset. So tonight, when you lie down again, remember what sleep truly is. It is not escape. It is not absence. It is repair. It is your brain's most generous act, done without noise, without notice, every night of your life. The neurons will return, the glial cells will resume their watch, and deep within your mind, a quiet team will once again begin to heal you, spark by spark, wave by wave, in the beautiful darkness where you become whole again. Close your eyes and listen, not to the world around you, but to the music playing deep inside. There is a symphony that begins the moment you fall asleep. It doesn't use strings or horns or drums, but it has rhythm and harmony and movement. This is the music of your brainwaves. Each night, as your body drifts into stillness, your mind begins to play its own quiet concert. The notes are electrical pulses, the rhythm is set by your breath and heartbeat, and the melody is the rising and falling of thought, memory, and dream. This sleeping symphony is as real as any song, and its performance is what allows you to wake renewed. When you begin to drift into sleep, your brain shifts its tempo. During the day, your mind is full of fast waves, beta waves moving quickly and sharply to keep up with the world. But as your eyes grow heavy and your thoughts begin to slow, these fast waves give way to gentler ones. Alpha waves rise first, like the soft opening of a lullaby. They are waves of calm wakefulness, easing your mind into the edges of sleep. You may feel yourself floating just above dreaming, thoughts fading like smoke. This is the beginning of the night's music. As you move deeper, theta waves take the lead. These are slower, more mysterious. They come in stage 1 and stage 2 sleep, guiding you through light sleep and into deeper stages. Theta waves are where strange ideas may flicker, where the world begins to blur. It's during this time that sleep spindles appear, brief bursts of rapid activity that flicker across your brain like glittering symbols in the dark. These spindles help protect your sleep, shielding your mind from noise or movement. They also mark moments when your brain is beginning to sort memories, replaying the day's events in flashes of light. Then comes the heart of the symphony, delta waves. These are the slowest, deepest notes the brain can play. Found in stages 3 and 4 of sleep, delta waves roll across your brain like ocean swells, heavy and full. They signal deep, dreamless sleep, the time when your body heals, your immune system strengthens, and your brain clears away waste. These waves don't shout, they hum. They lull every part of your being into peace. They are the foundation of rest, and without them, no sleep feels complete. As these waves move across the night, they do not stay the same. The sleep cycle is not a straight path. It moves in loops, like movements in a symphony. Every 90 minutes, your brain travels from light sleep to deep sleep and back again. With each cycle, the music changes. In the beginning of the night, deep sleep and delta waves dominate. But later, another movement begins. The music becomes brighter, faster, stranger. REM sleep arrives. REM, or rapid eye movement sleep, is the place of dreams. In this stage, your brainwaves begin to resemble those of wakefulness. Fast, unpredictable, colourful, but the body remains still, as if holding its breath. In REM, your brain plays a jazz solo, improvised, emotional, rich with feeling. Memories from the day mix with fragments of imagination. Faces shift, places transform, ideas stretch and twist. These dreams are not just stories. They are experiments. The brain is testing, exploring, feeling its way through emotion, memory, and prediction. Through each cycle of sleep, the proportions shift. Early in the night, slow waves are strong and long. Later, REM stretches its arms wider. The music becomes more fluid, more creative. The symphony is never the same twice. Each night is its own composition, shaped by what you did, how you felt, and what your body needs to heal. The waves are both ancient and new, playing the score your brain was born to follow. The beauty of this symphony lies in its purpose. Each wave plays a role. Alpha waves soothe, theta waves drift, delta waves restore, REM waves imagine. Together they shape a journey that is as essential as breath. The sleeping brain is not idle. It is performing the most important concert of your life. It's composing resilience, memory, and balance. It's tuning your emotional strings, softening your mental strain, and laying down the melodies you will carry into tomorrow. And all of it happens in silence. There is no audience, no applause, only rhythm, only flow, only the deep, soft music of the self at rest. So tonight, when you lie down, you are not stepping into darkness, you are stepping into music, into rhythm, into the most ancient lullaby of the body and mind. And as you drift, your brain will begin its song, slow, gentle, healing, a sleeping symphony playing just for you. As the night deepens, the sleeping symphony grows richer, each wave folding into the next like layers of sound in a dream. But unlike any orchestra heard in waking life, this music is alive. It changes not only the brain, but the body, the heart, and the self. The rhythms are not just heard, they are felt in every cell. They guide blood flow, regulate hormones, ease muscle tension, and balance the breath. You may not notice it, but your body is listening to this inner concert, responding to each shift in tempo with its own soft harmony. And the brain, your unseen conductor, leads every note with care. The sleep cycles, those 90-minute journeys from light to deep to dream, continue throughout the night. With each loop, the balance between stages changes. In the first half of the night, the delta waves are deep and wide. They bring the body into stillness, wash the brain in slow rhythm, and offer the deepest rest. This is when the most profound healing takes place. The immune system is supported, muscles are rebuilt, damaged cells are repaired. The nervous system resets, releasing tension that has been quietly building all day. The delta waves create space to breathe, space to rebuild, space to simply be. Yet the brain does not stay still. It moves upward again through the cycle into lighter sleep and then into REM. In REM, the symphony shifts. The melody becomes unpredictable. Brainwaves speed up. The cortex lights up. The brain begins to dream. And in these dreams, something beautiful happens. The emotional centers of the brain, including the amygdala and the limbic system, come alive. They replay feelings, re-express old memories, and reshape the past into something softer. Dreams do not always make sense, but they serve a deep purpose. They allow the heart to speak. They allow the self to rehearse life without risk. REM sleep, with its vivid mental imagery and strange emotional stories, helps integrate experience. The brain becomes a storyteller, spinning fragments of thought into metaphor. A fear may become a storm, a joy may become a flight, a confusion may become a puzzle half solved. These dreams may slip away upon waking, but their work remains. The emotional edges of the day before have been rounded. The roughness of memory has been smoothed. You wake lighter not because you forget, but because you have processed. This too is part of the sleeping symphony. And throughout all of this, spindles and ripples continue to play their quiet part. Sleep spindles, those quick bursts of brain activity and light sleep, help reinforce learning. They appear most often in stage 2 sleep, flaring like shooting stars across the cortex. Sharp wave ripples from the hippocampus flash memories forward to the cortex, asking it to remember, to store, to grow. This dialogue between deep memory and higher thinking is a duet, a silent conversation that shapes who you are becoming. Without these patterns, learning remains fragile. With them, it becomes part of you. These cycles repeat, overlapping and weaving together. Each sleep stage has its moment to shine, its chance to play its unique note, but the symphony only reaches its full beauty when all parts are allowed to play in balance. This is why disrupted sleep leaves the mind feeling frayed. Missing deep sleep means missing physical restoration. Missing REM means emotional strain, forgetfulness, and fog. The music must be whole to work its magic. Each stage is not optional, it is essential. As the night continues, your body follows the music's lead. Blood pressure lowers, heart rate slows, body temperature drops slightly. Hormonal rhythms adjust. Cortisol, which rises before waking to help you feel alert, dips low during early cycles to allow calm. Melatonin, the sleep hormone, rises in darkness and gently falls as morning approaches. All of these changes are guided by the brain's rhythm. It is a dance of chemistry and electricity, of pulse and breath, of soundless harmony, and even as your consciousness rests, your brain is aware in its own way. It keeps track of time, it notices patterns, it adjusts if needed. If you hear a sound, your brain decides whether to wake you. If you shift in bed, it recalibrates your balance. But most of the time, it lets the music play on, uninterrupted. The sleeping symphony is fragile in some ways, but in others it is resilient, able to adapt while still carrying you toward restoration. This resilience is a gift of nature. Across all people, across all cultures, this symphony plays the same. Infants, elders, dreamers, thinkers, all have slept with these rhythms moving through their minds. It is a shared song, older than memory, deeper than thought. We are all, each night, musicians in its soundscape, and though we do not choose the notes, we are shaped by them. They make us who we are. They help us heal. They help us grow, and in the quiet, they help us feel whole again. So as you move deeper into the night, know that your brain is not silent. It is singing. Each wave is a note. Each breath is a beat. The sleeping symphony continues, not for an audience, but for you. a song you do not hear but which moves you all the same. Now the final passage of the Sleeping Symphony begins, slow and gentle, like the last echo of a lullaby before the light returns. In these early morning hours, the cycles of sleep continue, but they shift once more. Deep sleep becomes briefer. REM sleep stretches longer, flowing like water through the final stretch of night. The music is no longer a dive into stillness. It is a rising. Not loud, not sudden, but gradual. The brain is preparing to open again. The notes it plays now are ones of restoration complete, of memory sealed, of readiness softly awakening. In these final movements, the mind performs its last integrations. Dreams become longer and more vivid. They may draw from recent memories, blend them with imagination, spin stories that touch the edges of understanding. These are not a few flickers. They are purposeful. During this extended REM, your brain replays emotions and scenarios that matter most. They might seem odd, but they reflect your inner life. The symphony becomes more colourful here, more expressive. The rhythms are faster, the melodies more complex, the cortex is nearly as active as it's during the day, but the body remains still, wrapped in the protective stillness of REM. The brain is polishing its work. Connections built earlier in the night are strengthened now. Emotional clarity sharpens. Mental links become more fluid. Insights arise without effort. A feeling that was stuck might now be smooth. A fear once sharp might feel distant. And even if you cannot remember your dreams, their emotional tone lingers. You carry their message in your mood, your thinking, your softness. This is the final grace of the Sleeping Symphony. It leaves its beauty behind, even in silence. Meanwhile, the body has not been left behind. It too prepares to rise. The pineal gland slows its production of melatonin as light begins to reach your closed eyes. Cortisol levels rise gently, not to stress you awake, but to guide the shift from inner rhythm to outer engagement. Your temperature begins to rise, your heartbeat gains strength, your breath deepens. Each of these changes is timed to the brain's music. The body is tuned to follow the cues, as if it too knows the song is drawing to a close. And then, the final refrain, you begin to wake. The thalamus opens fully. Sensory information rushes in. The cortex greets it not as a stranger, but as a long-lost friend. The waves shift again, flowing into alpha, then beta, welcoming thought, reaction, awareness. But the symphony does not end here, it merely fades into background. The rhythm remains inside you. It steadies your focus. It calms your responses. It helps you learn, feel, and grow throughout the day. The Sleeping Symphony may be soft now, but its effect echoes long after the night. And when you rise, you carry its gifts, restored energy, a calmer mind, stronger memory, sharper insight. You might not see the waves or hear the music, but you feel its effect in everything you do. You move through the day a little lighter, a little more whole, not because time passed, but because your brain played its song through the silence. A song made of waves, of sparks, of cycles as old as life itself. And tomorrow, when sleep returns, the music will begin again. You will lie down and the rhythm will rise. Alpha, then theta, then delta, then dream. The spindles will shimmer. The ripples will echo, the melody will carry you inward. And once again your brain will perform its quiet concert. No audience will applaud, but none is needed. For this symphony is not for the ears, it is for the soul. So close your eyes each night, knowing this. Deep within you, an orchestra waits. It needs no instruments, no conductor, no sheet music. It only needs time, darkness, and stillness. And with those three, it will give you everything: peace, healing, renewal. The Sleeping Symphony is the soundless masterpiece that plays inside you night after night, helping you become whole again. There are moments just before sleep when thoughts begin to loosen their grip. They become lighter, slower, more distant, like clouds passing through a wide, quiet sky. In those moments, your mind begins to shift from doing to simply being. This is not the sharp silence of emptiness, but a gentle stillness, full of motion without effort. It is the calm before the deep rhythm of sleep takes over. And in that calm, something profound is happening. Your brain, once busy with decisions and distractions, begins the slow art of letting go. This is not just relaxation, it is a delicate change in the nature of consciousness itself. Throughout the day, your thoughts are like currents, rushing, colliding, looping endlessly. But in the quiet space between wakefulness and sleep, the default mode network, the part of the brain responsible for self-reflection, mind-wandering, and inner dialogue, grows softer. This network, made up of several distant brain regions, connects when the mind is at rest. It is where your stories live, where memories drift, where your sense of self gently floats. But to truly rest, even this network must pause. The brain does not stop being active, it simply becomes quiet in a new way, not silent, but smooth, not frozen, but fluid. As you drift into this quiet, alpha waves begin to rise. These are slow, graceful pulses that dance through the back of the brain, especially in the visual and sensory regions. They do not carry information like words or images. They carry calm. Alpha waves tell the brain, the world is safe, no action is needed, now is the time to soften. Under their influence, attention relaxes, muscles loosen, breath becomes deeper. The mind, which all day demanded control, begins to surrender. And in that surrender, the first kind of rest appears, not sleep itself, but the bridge to it. On this bridge, thoughts change their shape. They no longer arrive with sharp edges or urgent voices. They drift. One memory may lead to another. One idea may dissolve before it finishes. This is the state known as hypnagogia, the threshold between waking and sleep. In this state, your mind is unanchored. Images may flash, sounds may echo faintly. The rules of waking life no longer apply. This is not confusion. It is creativity in its rawest, most formless shape. And while it may only last a few minutes, it sets the stage for all that follows. During this time, the brain is deeply active but without focus. Different regions begin to uncouple. The frontal lobes, responsible for planning and judgment, release their grip. The sensory areas tune down, the thalamus filters out most incoming signals, and the hippocampus, your memory's gatekeeper, grows quiet. In this stillness, the brain is not storing or learning, it is simply being. It is untethered, like a boat on gentle waters, and in this floating, you begin to heal. Stillness in the brain is not the absence of thought, it is the freedom from effort. It is the slowing down of neural chatter, the softening of boundaries between ideas. Scientists have found that during this period, brain metabolism shifts. Oxygen use decreases. Blood flow is redistributed. The energy that was once spent on reaction and analysis is now conserved, repurposed for internal work. The brain is not shutting down, it is changing gears. This shift is essential. Without it, the deeper stages of sleep cannot begin. The transition from beta waves, the fast, focused rhythms of wakefulness, to alpha and then theta, is like lowering the lights in a theatre before the show begins. It signals to every system in the body that the performance of the day is ending. It allows the heart to slow, the breath to deepen, the muscles to unwind. And in the mind, it creates the space where thoughts no longer feel like commands but like passing weather. Noticed, then gone. Many traditions have honoured this mental stillness. In meditation, mindfulness and prayer, people have long sought the quiet beneath thought. What science now shows is that this stillness is not just a spiritual idea, it is a biological necessity. It is built into the way the brain prepares for rest. And though it often happens on its own, it can be encouraged. Gentle breathing, soft light, repeated rhythms, all help the brain move towards stillness. These are the modern lullabies of the nervous system. Once you have reached this state, the journey into sleep becomes easier. The thalamus, like a gentle gatekeeper, begins to block more and more incoming stimuli. The cortex grows quiet, no longer scanning the outside world. The internal symphony shifts towards slower, deeper rhythms, and the mind, once full of plans and problems, becomes wide and open, like sky before dawn. This stillness does not last forever. It is a transition, a bridge between doing and dreaming. But it is a necessary one. Without it, the symphony cannot begin. Without it, the healing cannot take root. And even if it lasts only minutes, it offers a kind of peace that cannot be found in action. It is the peace of release. The brain, free from striving, rests in its own rhythm. So tonight, When your day is done and your eyes begin to close, listen for the quiet beneath your thoughts. Notice how they soften, how they float, how they begin to drift like clouds. You're not losing yourself. You're returning. Returning to the quiet center of being, where stillness is not the end, but the beginning of rest. Let us drift deeper into the quiet, where thought no longer follows a path, and awareness itself begins to dissolve into rhythm. In this tranquil state, something extraordinary happens. The mind, once a voice talking to itself all day, becomes instead a soft space of gentle perception. You're no longer thinking about the world, you're simply existing within it. This is the essence of mental stillness. And while it may seem like a pause or lull, it is in fact a deeply active shift where the brain, relieved of its burdens, begins its most essential internal work. During this stage of rest, theta waves rise like ripples on a still lake. These waves are slower than alpha and signal the arrival of true light sleep. They are common in stage 1 and 2 sleep, but also appear in waking life during states of deep meditation, daydreaming, and creative flow. Theta is the rhythm of openness, of connection, of inward wandering. In theta, the mind becomes fertile ground. Ideas that had no room to grow during the busy day may now stretch their roots. Images, half-formed and strange, drift through your awareness, not needing answers. It is in this space that seeds of insight are planted. Mental stillness does not mean absence, it means spaciousness. In this mental spaciousness, your sense of time fades. The boundaries between thought and feeling become soft, and the body, following the mind's lead, begins to let go. Muscles no longer brace, shoulders lower, the jaw unclenches. The nervous system, guided by the parasympathetic branch, begins its nightly restoration. Heart rate slows, digestion deepens. The stress hormones of the day, like cortisol, begin to decline. Serotonin and melatonin begin to rise. These changes are not commanded. They unfold in harmony with the brain's quietening. Within the brain, the default mode network becomes less synchronized. The frontal lobes, responsible for controlling attention, no longer issue constant demands. The insula, a part of the brain that monitors the body's inner state, grows more active, letting you tune in to sensations like warmth, breath, and stillness. This inward shift allows the brain to enter a mode of reflection without judgment. It notices, but does not control. This kind of reflection is not problem-solving, it is witnessing, being present without the pressure to change. In this witnessing, emotional processing begins. Feelings that had lingered at the edges of your awareness now step forward, not to overwhelm you, but to be held gently. The amygdala, so reactive by day, begins to settle. Its signals are no longer loud but contemplative. The prefrontal cortex, once buzzing with plans, simply listens. This is how the mind begins to organize experience, not by speaking about it, but by holding space for it. The quiet becomes a canvas where emotions can settle into meaning. Even creativity, often thought to belong to waking life, is stirred in these quiet waters. The brain's networks begin to interact in new ways. The regions involved in memory, vision, and language touch each other softly. Associations are made not through logic but through feel. A scent may remind you of a song. A dream image may lead you to a memory. These connections form quietly without intention, and in doing so they prepare the brain for deeper dreaming, for richer rest. This quiet openness is also essential for the transition to deeper sleep. Without stillness, the brain cannot fully enter the slow-wave patterns of stage 3 sleep. Without stillness, the emotional systems remain alert, the thoughts remain sticky. But when the mind releases its grip and allows stillness to wash through, the brain can fully descend. It is as if stillness is the gatekeeper to the deeper realms of healing, and only when we trust it, only when we stop grasping, does the gate open. It's important to remember that this mental stillness is not something you must force. It cannot be captured or held. It must be invited. The brain, when given quiet and comfort, finds its way there naturally. A darkened room, a slow breath, a gentle rhythm, like the ticking of a clock or the rustle of leaves. These are not distractions. They are anchors, grounding the mind in a moment that does not need to be changed. And once anchored, the mind becomes free to float. Floating thoughts may come and go, some may try to pull you back to the day, but in this stage you learn to let them pass. Not by fighting, but by noticing and releasing. A thought arises. It is a cloud. You watch it drift. Another follows. You let it go. Slowly the space between thoughts grows longer. The sky clears. You feel yourself not as the thinker, but as the one who watches. And then even the watcher fades. Only stillness remains. This stillness is not an end. It is the beginning of surrender. It is what prepares the mind for sleep's deeper stages. Without it, sleep may come but be restless. With it, sleep becomes whole. The nervous system, once tangled in tasks and tension, is now soothed. The body, once clenched against the world, is now open. And the brain, that beautiful, tireless engine, is finally allowed to hum in its own peaceful rhythm. So as your breath slows and your thoughts drift, know that you are entering not a void but a sanctuary. You're not shutting down, you are tuning in. You're not losing your mind, you're finding your rhythm. And in this rhythm, the deepest kind of rest becomes possible. As night draws closer to its edge and the first light begins to gather beneath the horizon, the mind rests in its most open state. The waves of thought that once crashed with the noise now ripple in gentle silence. Mental stillness has deepened into a space beyond thinking, a soft spaciousness where the brain is no longer solving or planning, but simply existing in harmony. This final phase is not empty, nor is it unconscious. It is full of invisible motion, the kind that renews not through doing, but through being. And in this stillness, the final threads of repair are woven into the fabric of your mind. Your brain, floating gently in its own rhythm, does not wake you yet. It continues to glide through the last sleep cycles, more REM now than slow wave, more dreaming than deep repair. But something has shifted. The inner calm that mental stillness created at the beginning of the night is still there, echoing quietly beneath the surface. It has made space for clarity. It has made room for emotional order. It has shaped the way your brain will meet the coming day. This stillness has not vanished. It has become the backdrop to every final dream. In these moments, the boundary between self and world grows thinner. Thoughts no longer appear with edges. Emotions no longer surge. Everything is smooth, like a river slowing just before it meets the sea. The body listens closely to this rhythm. Your heart beats in time with your breath. Your muscles remain relaxed. The parasympathetic nervous system holds you in its gentle embrace. There is no rush to wake, no pull to act. The body is not preparing for alertness just yet. It is enjoying the last notes of a song that only the sleeping mind can hear. During this time, the brain continues to fine-tune its networks. The frontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and logic, remains quiet, letting more instinctive and emotional areas finish their subtle work. This allows your sense of self to soften even further. You're no longer an actor on the stage of thought. You are the whole theatre, the space where experience happens without the need for control. And in that space, the final waves of the night's rhythm roll gently through the mind. The brain's internal chemistry supports this serenity. Melatonin begins to ease its hold. Cortisol, in a slow and natural rise, prepares the mind for transition. But even this hormonal shift does not break the stillness. It simply adds a new layer to it, a promise of return. The brain knows how to rise from this calm. It does not need to be forced. It will emerge when it is ready. Until then, the stillness continues to cradle every system in your body and mind. This is why people who experience complete, uninterrupted sleep often wake not only rested, but changed. It is not simply the passage of time that renews them. It is this quiet space that allowed the brain to process, repair, and release. In mental stillness, there is room for the past to settle and the future to wait. There is no pressure to hold on, no demand to push forward. Everything can be as it is, and in that acceptance, healing becomes effortless. The insights formed during sleep, the ease of emotion, the sense of lightness, all these are born in the sanctuary of stillness. Even if you don't recall your dreams, even if you wake with no memory of the hours past, your brain remembers. It remembers how you let go, how you trusted rest, how you surrendered your grip on thought long enough for the deeper layers of your being to emerge. Stillness is not passive. It is the brain's most active form of peace. As your body begins to move again, fingers stretching, breath deepening, light pressing gently through your eyelids, the stillness does not disappear. It becomes part of your foundation. It lingers in the way you meet the day, in the clarity of your attention, in the steadiness of your words, in the softness of your reactions. The brain has kept this stillness within you like a quiet secret, ready to support you until it's time to return again. And so you rise, not suddenly, but gradually. Not like a machine powering on, but like the petals of a flower opening to morning light. You are not leaving stillness behind. You are carrying it with you. You are walking into the world with a mind that knows how to rest, how to float, how to breathe in silence. The clouds of thought will return, but now you know you are not the clouds. You are the sky. Tonight and every night when you close your eyes, the journey will begin again. Thoughts will come and go, some will try to stay, but now you have learned how to watch them drift. You will return to that quiet river, to the gentle rhythm, to the vast openness of mind where stillness waits. And in that stillness, your brain will rest and your self will be renewed. This is the gift of sleep, not just the end of waking, but the rediscovery of peace. And it begins every time with the moment your thoughts begin to drift like clouds. In the hush of night, when the mind surrenders to rest, a quiet light begins to glow inside you. It does not shine like the sun or flicker like a candle. It is not visible, even to the most delicate machines, but it's there, soft, steady, woven deep into the brain's design. This light is emotional understanding, and sleep is the lantern that makes it visible. While your body lies still and your conscious thoughts go dark, your brain turns inward and begins to illuminate the hidden corners of your emotional life. It does not do this with words or logic. It does it with dreams, with rhythm, with a sequence of slow, gentle waves that sort, soothe, and soften your feelings. All day long, your brain is flooded with emotion. Some you recognize right away: joy, stress, fear, excitement. Others stay just beneath awareness, shaping your thoughts without ever being named. Every conversation, every silence, every choice leaves an echo inside you. And while your waking mind is too busy to process them all, sleep begins to collect those echoes, one by one. As you close your eyes, the brain quietly gathers the unfinished feelings, the unresolved moments, the unspoken things. It holds them like pages waiting to be read. In the early stages of sleep, these emotional impressions are not yet processed. They are stored, lightly held, waiting for the deeper stages to begin. As you move into slow wave sleep, those deep delta wave stages, the brain begins to reorganize itself. It is no longer reacting to the outside world, it is shaping the inside world. The emotional circuits, especially the amygdala and the medial prefrontal cortex, begin to adjust their relationship. The amygdala, where the spark of fear lives, quiets down. The prefrontal cortex, which helps you interpret and regulate feelings, becomes more active. This balance is the beginning of emotional clarity, but it is during REM sleep that the most intricate emotional work begins. In REM, your dreams begin to stir. They are strange, sometimes vivid, sometimes fleeting, but always meaningful. They are not random images, they are emotional metaphors, a memory reshaped, a fear reimagined, a hope given wings. The brain, unburdened by the logic of daytime, starts to explore your emotional experiences in the language of dreams, and it does so in a rhythm that soothes as it reveals. The stress hormones that once surged, like norepinephrine, are kept low during REM, allowing the brain to revisit difficult feelings without panic. This is not forgetting, it is reprocessing. Scientists have found that people who are deprived of REM sleep struggle more with emotional balance. Their reactions are sharper, their worries feel heavier. But those who sleep well, especially through complete sleep cycles, wake with more resilience. That resilience is not just from rest, it's from reflection. While you dreamed, your brain was finding new meanings, building new bridges between emotion and understanding. The fear you felt was not erased. It was gently woven into context. The sadness you carried was not denied, it was softened. This softening does not only affect past emotions, it shapes the way you feel tomorrow. The emotional tone of your day, the way you respond to challenges, the way you see yourself, the way you connect with others, is shaped by the quiet work of your sleeping brain. The lantern shines backwards and forwards at once. It helps you make peace with what happened, and it prepares you to meet what's to come. That's why sleep can make a difficult day feel manageable again. It doesn't change the facts. but it changes your capacity to hold them. Even emotions you barely notice during the day are given attention at night. A flicker of jealousy, a moment of kindness, an uneasy silence. These moments are not forgotten. They are explored. Your dreams may carry them in symbols, a closed door, an open sky, a familiar face that speaks with a different voice. You might not understand the meaning when you wake, but your brain does. The emotional insight has already settled into your nervous system, adjusting your responses before you even rise. During this emotional processing, different brain regions engage in their own choreography. The limbic system pulses with feeling. The anterior cingulate cortex monitors emotional conflict. The insula tracks bodily sensation linked to mood. And all of it occurs without your awareness. There is no need to intervene. Your only role is to rest. The brain will light the way from within. This is why sleep is often the best response to overwhelm. When you feel lost in emotion, when nothing makes sense, when everything is too loud, sleep offers a quiet lantern. It does not give you answers in words. It gives you understanding in calm. And when the light returns in the morning, you often feel it without even knowing why. The tension has loosened. The weight has shifted. You feel more like yourself again. That is the brain's secret lantern, glowing quietly all night, revealing what could not be seen in daylight. So as your eyes grow heavy and your thoughts begin to slow, know this. You are not stepping away from emotion. You are stepping toward it, not to struggle with it, but to soften it, to see it in the gentle light of sleep, where everything is allowed to be and nothing must be forced. And in that space, your feelings can breathe, your mind can rest, and your heart can begin to heal. Let us move further into the night, where emotion is no longer a reaction but a rhythm, and the sleeping brain continues its gentle work of understanding. In this deeper place, the mind is no longer tangled in thoughts, it is immersed in feeling. But not in a way that overwhelms, it is a feeling that flows, observed without resistance. This is where the brain, with exquisite care, begins to reorganize your emotional world. It does not erase what hurt you, nor does it rewrite the joyful moments. Instead, it quietly places each emotion in a softer frame, allowing it to be held without heaviness. The emotional centers of the brain, the amygdala, hippocampus, and prefrontal cortex, are not silent during sleep. They speak in waves, in timing, and patterns of energy that hum beneath consciousness. The amygdala, which responds so quickly to threat in waking life, becomes less reactive. Its volume is turned down, not so feelings disappear, but so they become bearable. Meanwhile, the hippocampus continues its work of organizing memory. It tags emotional events, stores the context, and begins to distinguish between what needs to be remembered for safety and what can be released. And the prefrontal cortex listens quietly, preparing to build meaning from these impressions when morning returns. It is in REM sleep where this emotional sorting becomes most profound. In this stage, your brain is highly active. The cortex lights up, the limbic system stirs, but the world outside is silent. Your muscles are still. Your eyes may flicker behind closed lids, but you are safe, motionless, adrift in dream. And here, in this strange state where reality bends and memory floats, your feelings are reshaped. The brain does not judge. It replays, reimagines, recombines. An argument from the day might reappear in a new place, spoken with a different tone. A lost moment might find a new beginning. Dreams, even the fragmented ones, are the emotional laboratory of the self. In this laboratory, your emotional memory becomes flexible. A fearful experience can be rehearsed in safer conditions. A regret can be softened by the distance of dream. Joys can be replayed and savoured, deepening their roots. The emotional tone of the dream shapes how the memory is kept. Was it resolved? Was it soothed? The answer changes how the brain stores it. REM sleep lets you walk through your emotional landscape without the danger of being swept away. It is rehearsal. It is reframing. It is release. Outside the world of dreams, emotional recovery continues. The brain adjusts neurotransmitter levels that affect mood and energy. Dopamine pathways which fuel motivation and reward are rebalanced. Serotonin systems linked to mood regulation are gently refreshed. Oxytocin, the hormone of bonding and trust, plays a subtle role as well, especially in dreams that involve connection or touch. These are not just chemical shifts. They are the body's way of saying you are safe, you're healing, you're allowed to begin again. Even the nervous system responds. The vagus nerve, which connects the brain to the body's emotional responses, slowing the heart, calming the breath, becomes more active during restorative sleep. This helps create a full-body sense of calm. Sleep is not just emotional repair of the mind, it is emotional rebalancing of the body. That is why good sleep can leave you not only mentally clear, but physically lighter. The emotions you carry are not just in your head, they are felt in the chest, the belly, the shoulders, and sleep helps them settle. Emotional stillness does not mean you forget, it means you are no longer caught. That tight knot of anxiety, the sharp edge of sadness, the restless echo of worry, they are all given space to soften, and the brain, without pressure, finds new pathways around them. Sometimes this happens suddenly, sometimes it takes time, but sleep is patient. The lantern does not burn out. It glows night after night, offering understanding not through words but through presence. This is why sleep is essential not only in crisis, but in growth. When life changes, when relationships shift, when identity evolves, when new fears appear, sleep offers a safe space to adjust. It is the mind's quiet companion during transformation. It does not give instructions, it gives grace. It allows you to feel without drowning, to remember without pain, to hope without pressure. Even dreams that seem unsettling are part of this grace. They are the brain's way of saying, I'm working on it. And the next morning you rise with a bit more room inside, and still this entire process is invisible. You lie down, you sleep, you wake, you feel different, but you didn't do anything. That's the beauty. The healing is built into you. Your brain carries this lantern by design. You only need to allow it to shine. The emotional storms of waking life may rage, but every night, a quiet light waits within you, ready to turn even your deepest feelings into something softer, something manageable, something whole. So when the world feels too much, remember that you have this power already inside you, not in your effort, but in your rest. Let sleep take you. Let your brain carry the weight for a while. And when you wake, you may not know what changed, but you will feel it. The light inside you will be a little brighter. The feelings will be a little gentler. The way forward will be just a little clearer. Now the final stretch of night unfolds, where the work of emotional healing reaches its quiet conclusion. The brain, having spent hours in the waves of reflection and rest, gently finishes its task. The secret lantern that has been glowing all night inside you begins to dim, not because its work is incomplete, but because the message has been delivered. Emotions have been sifted and sorted. Memories have been reshaped. The heart, though it has not moved, has softened. And the mind, though it has been asleep, has grown more aware. This is the last gift of sleep's emotional rhythm, quiet readiness. In this final phase of rest, REM sleep becomes longer, deeper. The dreams stretch like shadows at dawn, full of feeling but with less weight. The brain is no longer testing emotional reactions, it is weaving them into the story of who you are. This is not the story you tell others, it is the one you carry silently inside, what matters to you, what hurts you, what gives you hope. In these dreams, your emotional identity is not created, but clarified. You wake with a subtler sense of self, not a new self, but a self more gently understood. As this inner story is finalized, the prefrontal cortex, your brain's center of control and understanding, begins to stir. It receives the emotional updates delivered through the night. The circuits that govern empathy, self-reflection, and patience are stronger now. This means that when you face challenges in the day ahead, you will be steadier, not immune to feeling, but better able to respond with grace. The fear you carried yesterday might still be there, but now it is not tangled, it is not sharp, it has been lit from within, and that light makes it something you can hold without harm. Meanwhile, the amygdala, no longer flooded, becomes more measured. Studies show that after proper sleep, this region of the brain is less reactive. You are less likely to overreact, to snap, to spiral. This is not a matter of personality. It is a matter of balance. Your emotions feel more like signals, not storms. And in this balance, kindness becomes easier, not just to others, but to yourself. The brain's chemistry confirms this shift. Cortisol, which rises gently before waking, does not surge. It lifts you calmly into alertness. The oxytocin released in REM dreams involving social connection, continues to influence how you relate. Serotonin helps keep mood stable. Even dopamine, which drives reward-seeking and curiosity, becomes more available after good rest. These are not just molecules, they are the colours in which your emotional landscape is painted, and during sleep your brain has rearranged them into something more harmonious. Your body joins this emotional calm. The nervous system, refreshed by a deep parasympathetic activity, holds you in a state of readiness without tension. Heart rate remains smooth, muscles feel supple, breathing is easy. This physical steadiness mirrors the mental one. The emotion that once made your chest tight now feels like a whisper. The tension in your shoulders has melted into stillness. You carry less, not because the world has changed, but because your brain has helped you release what was too much. When you begin to wake, you do so gently. The brain does not throw you into consciousness. It lifts you into it, like the sun easing over the horizon. Dreams fade. The internal story quiets, but the effects remain. A problem from yesterday no longer seems impossible. A sadness feels softer, more manageable. A joy feels more vivid. These are the echoes of the emotional work done during sleep. You did not think your way through them. You dreamed your way into understanding. And if you do remember a dream, it might feel strange or fragmented, but don't dismiss it. The dream was not meant to make sense in waking terms. It was meant to feel its way into clarity. The meaning is not in the images, it's in the emotion they carried, and that emotion, however abstract, has already done its work. It has been integrated, it has been heard. So as you stretch, blink, breathe, and rise, know that you are not just waking from sleep. You are waking from a night of quiet healing. Your brain has cared for your emotions the way it cares for your body, gently, thoroughly, in rhythm, and the self you bring into the day is stronger for it. More open, more balanced, more whole. Tonight, this lantern will glow again. It will wait in the background of your dreams, ready to illuminate whatever your heart cannot yet carry in the daylight. It will sort what feels tangled. It will hold what feels too heavy, and in doing so it will remind you, you're always healing even when you sleep. Your feelings are never too much. Your mind is never too broken. With time and rest, the light inside you always returns. You do not have to fix everything while awake. Sometimes the deepest healing happens when you do nothing at all. Just sleep. Just trust. And let your brain shine its secret lantern in the dark. There is an ocean inside your head. You cannot see it, and it makes no sound, but it moves with perfect rhythm, rising and falling with every moment you live. It is not made of water, but of electricity, not of currents, but of waves. These waves are the brain's deepest language, a language that does not speak in words or thoughts, but in flow. As you rest, as you sleep, as you dream, your brain is always moving in waves, and like the tides of the sea, these brainwaves carry memory, emotion, healing, and silence across the vast shoreline of your mind. From the moment you are born, your brain begins to pulse with waves, not one wave, but many. Each wave has its own shape, its own rhythm, its own depth. There are fast waves like ripples on the surface. These are the beta waves, quick and sharp, moving with attention and thought. There are slower waves, alpha and theta, gentler and deeper, drifting through moments of calm reflection or the edges of sleep. And there are the slowest waves of all, delta waves, deep like the ocean floor, rolling in the darkness of dreamless rest. These waves never stop. They change, they shift, but they always move. And this motion is the secret to the brain's ability to renew itself. During the day, your brain is filled with fast waves. Beta waves flash through the cortex, helping you think, decide, and react. These waves are efficient but costly. They burn energy quickly, they keep you sharp, but they leave behind debris. Mental noise, emotional tension, unfinished thoughts. When the day is done, the ocean inside your head begins to change. The fast waves slow down. Beta becomes alpha. Alpha becomes theta. The tide pulls back and the deep begins to rise. As you begin to sleep, theta waves wash over your brain like the lapping of soft waves against the shore. They guide you into the first layers of rest. They are not deep enough to hold you, but they prepare the way. You may feel yourself drift, floating just above the seafloor of sleep. This is the place where dreams begin to stir, not yet formed, but gently rising. The brain is no longer focused outward. It is beginning to listen to itself, and the waves carry its thoughts in slow spirals inward. Then, as you move deeper into sleep, delta waves begin to rise. These are the waves of healing. They roll slowly, almost silently, through the deepest layers of your brain. Each one moves across the cortex in long, sweeping arcs, guiding neurons to rest, glial cells to cleanse, and memory circuits to reorganize. These waves are not just signals, they are lullabies. They tell every part of your brain, now is the time to let go, now is the time to renew. The delta waves are the ocean's deepest tide, and they come not to stir you, but to still you. This deep sleep is where your brain does its most essential work, and it does so through rhythm. Just as the ocean's tides carry away what no longer belongs on the shore, the brain's delta waves help clear away the clutter left by the day. Metabolic waste, emotional residue, unneeded neural connections, all are slowly swept away. The glymphatic system, like a tide of clean fluid, washes through the spaces between cells, and the waves, slow and wide, create the perfect conditions for this cleansing to unfold. But these tides do not stay in one place. Just as the sea moves between high and low, the brain cycles through stages of sleep. Each 90-minute cycle rises and falls. Light sleep, deep sleep, REM, and in each cycle, the brain's waves shift. After the slow delta tides have done their work, faster waves begin to return. Theta waves begin to rise again, then alpha, then the strange lively bursts of REM sleep where the surface begins to ripple once more, full of dreams and emotional resonance. During REM, the ocean becomes mysterious. Brainwaves look almost like waking waves, beta and theta blending in bursts. But you are not awake. You are far inside the self, and the waves here carry meaning, not in logic, but in metaphor. A memory becomes a landscape, a feeling becomes a voice. The brain is now painting with waves, and in this painting, emotion is reorganized, fears are softened, joys are replayed, and thoughts begin to find their place. This rising and falling of brainwaves continues through the night. Each cycle brings a new tide. Each tide brings a new kind of renewal. You may not feel these waves. You may not remember their motion. But when you wake, you are changed by them. Your thoughts are clearer. Your body is lighter. Your emotions are steadier. All because the ocean inside your head has moved as it was meant to move. So tonight, when you lie down, remember that sleep is not stillness. It is movement. Deep, rhythmic and beautiful. You are not drifting in darkness. You are floating on a tide of light that no eye can see. And with each wave, your brain brings you closer to balance, closer to calm, closer to the quiet shore of healing that only sleep can reach. Let us follow those waves further now, into the deepest part of the brain's ocean, where the patterns of rhythm become not only gentle but wise. These waves are not just motion, they are communication. Each cycle, each crest, each trough, carries with it a message from one part of the brain to another. And just as the ocean's tides pull sand from shore and return it reshaped, these brainwaves shape memory, emotion, and understanding through their flow. Beneath their surface, the mind becomes a place of transformation, subtle, slow, and essential. During the heart of sleep, especially in the long stretches of non-REM, deep sleep, delta waves sweep the cortex with wide pulses of quiet energy. These waves are slow enough to be felt not as information, but as influence. They are not like the rapid spark of daytime thought. They are more like the echo of a drum in an empty canyon, long, soft, and deep. These delta waves do not shout, they guide. They move from front to back of the brain in gentle waves called slow oscillations, sinking distant regions into harmony. In this harmony, memories that were fragile begin to solidify. The hippocampus, where short-term memories are held, sends soft electrical ripples, sharp wave ripples, to the cortex, where long-term storage lives. These signals are met by the cortex with its own rhythm, a wave of receptivity. The two meet in a quiet handshake, a silent agreement. This memory matters. Let's keep it. And so a connection is formed, not just in space, but in rhythm. This rhythm makes the memory stronger, not louder, but more secure. It becomes part of the foundation of who you are. At the same time, memories that are less important are allowed to fade. This is not forgetting, it is refinement. The ocean inside your brain knows what to keep and what to release. It does not hold everything, just as the tide does not keep every grain of sand. It lets go with purpose, and through that letting go, it makes room for new experiences, new insights. The slow waves help you become more yourself by helping you carry less. Theta waves, which rise again in later parts of the night, bring with them something different: emotional learning. These waves are slower than beta but faster than delta, perfect for transition. They are the waves of dream logic, of creative links, of emotional memory. During REM sleep, when theta waves dance alongside bursts of beta activity, the brain begins to play. It recombines ideas, feelings, and memories into stories. These stories, strange though they may seem, are your brain's way of adjusting its emotional balance. The waves carry feelings into new shapes, new meanings. A moment of embarrassment becomes a puzzle. A sorrow becomes a symbol. A longing becomes a song. This emotional remixing is what allows you to heal while you sleep. The waves do not erase your feelings, they carry them to quieter shores. They help your brain feel safe enough to remember without re-injury. They help you dream in ways that teach you how to feel, without fear, without judgment. Scientists now believe that this is one of the core purposes of REM sleep, not just to dream, but to feel more freely, and to file those feelings in ways that make life easier to live. As the night progresses, your brain becomes more sensitive to these internal waves. The later stages of sleep are dominated by REM, and the frequency of your brain's rhythms begins to shift more rapidly. There is more variability now, more complexity. The ocean is no longer calm but full of soft, shimmering motion. In this richness, new connections form. Creative insight flourishes. You may dream of something that seems odd, but wake with a solution you couldn't find the day before. That's because the waves were not just washing over your brain, they were reweaving it. This reweaving is subtle. It doesn't feel like revelation. It feels like peace. You don't wake remembering the exact sequence of dreams or waves. You wake with less tension, less confusion. The brain has done its work invisibly, faithfully, in rhythm. The ocean inside you has turned and turned, and what it left behind is not just a cleaner mind, it is a clearer heart. Even the body feels this rhythm. The vagus nerve linking brain and heart listens to the slow waves of sleep. It calms the heartbeat in response. The lungs breathe more deeply. The digestive system, freed from daytime stress, works in its own gentle flow. These are not separate systems. They're all waves. Breath, blood, sleep, thought, all of it moves in cycles, and all of it becomes more balanced through the night, carried by the hidden ocean within. By the time morning nears, the waves begin to change again. The slow deltas fade, the REM rhythms soften, alpha waves return, and then, gently, beta waves begin again, readying you to re-enter the world. But this new beta is different. It's not rushing, it's not sharp, it's been refreshed. The ocean has returned to shore, and the brain stands clean and whole upon it. So when you rise and stretch and blink against the light, know that you are not only waking, you are returning from a journey beneath awareness, a night spent under waves that healed you, organized you, made you pull you whole. The ocean inside your head never stopped moving, carried you gently through the dark, and now it sets you back on land, ready to begin again. As the last chapter of sleep begins, the ocean inside your brain moves with its quietest grace. The waves no longer rush or dive, they flow in wide arcs, preparing the mind for morning. These final cycles of sleep are not simply endings, they're a kind of folding in, a stitching together of all the night's quiet work. What began as a journey into rest has become a slow return to the waking world, and yet the waves still roll within you. You may not hear them, but their rhythm has shaped everything you are about to feel, say, and do. In this stage, your brain's rhythms are lighter, but still rich. REM sleep stretches longer, like the final notes of a symphony playing just for you. Dreams continue, sometimes softer, sometimes stranger. The cortex is still lit with activity, and the limbic system continues to stir. But something is different now. The emotional work is nearing completion. The feelings processed earlier in the night, fear, sorrow, joy, confusion, have all been sifted. What needed to be held has been held. What could be let go has begun to dissolve, and the waves now carry only what remains, a quiet sense of readiness. Even though you are still asleep, your body begins to anticipate waking. Cortisol rising gradually helps energize the brain. The thalamus, which all night had filtered sensory input, begins to loosen its hold. Light behind your eyelids becomes more noticeable. The stillness that once held you so gently now begins to thin. But the ocean does not stop. Even in this transition, the waves are working. They are making final adjustments, restoring chemical balances, securing memory networks, tuning your mood for morning light. What is remarkable is that this final phase feels so effortless. You have done nothing, you only slept, and yet your brain has created order from chaos, insight from experience, and peace from unrest. The slow waves of deep sleep, the emotional remixing of RM, the synchrony of glial activity, and the shifts in chemistry have all completed their dance. And now, in this final movement, the waves do something sacred. They pause. Not stop, but settle, like the sea after a long night's tide. This settling is felt not in memory but in presence. You wake, stretch, breathe, and things feel clearer. Not dramatically so, but quietly. A problem you faced yesterday seems more manageable. A heavy emotion feels softer. The way forward is no longer hidden. This is not magic. This is what the ocean inside you was made to do. While you slept, it gathered what you couldn't name, what you couldn't hold, what you didn't know you needed. It rocked those things in its current. It gave them space. And now they've taken shape in a way you can carry. Even if you wake with no memory of dreams, they have already left their impression. The symbols, the stories, the feelings, they've been folded into your thoughts, woven into your mood, anchored in your nervous system. You may walk through your morning unaware of how different you are from the person who closed their eyes. But you are different. The ocean inside your brain has made you so.